closer, people. Hello, good morning. It's 8:30, it's Tuesday. It's time for John. Today is March 23rd. March 23rd, 2021, and we're a year ago today, we went into lockdown. So it's an anniversary, isn't it? This is an anniversary of a very different year, and you know what? It's as I said, it's been an interesting year. And today has been called a National Day of Reflection. And I think that's really good. I think that's really important to reflect, to remember, to mourn, to grieve. It's, in other cultures, many other cultures, they spend time mourning and grieving. You'll often hear on the news, you'll get somebody who's sort of important has died in the country, or they have a bit of a natural disaster or something. And what tends to happen is that then the government or leader will say, we're going to have 7 days of mourning, we're going to have 3 days of mourning, and etc. And the country mourns. The people take time to grieve, take time to remember, take time to reflect. Now, I think we've lost that a bit in sort of Western culture. We have such a pace of life that we don't take time. We don't take time to stop, recognise feelings that are going on within us. I think that's one of the reasons as well why we have such a mental health pandemic previous to this, and probably coming out of this, is people not having the time to recognise what's going on in themselves, not having times to pause, not having times to sit with and naturally sort of reflect, remember. So it's important to reflect. In fact, pick up a Bible. It's nice. My wife's Bible, pink. I can have a pink Bible. That is not a judgment or anything else. But what I'm saying here is this Bible. This is a book about remembering. This is a book of reflection. I think one of the reasons the Bible is so important is because it's about remembering. Constantly, it's a story of a people who forget. The Bible, part of the reason the Bible is a story of a people who forget. And then what happens is we are reminded, we're able to reflect. And actually, within Jewish culture and out of the Old Testament, you would see that things like the Passover meal and Hanukkah, they are times when the Jewish people stop and they remember and they reflect on their past, especially at Passover. And actually, this is important as a Christian. This is why the communion meal, Eucharist, bread and wine, whatever you want to call it, that's also why that is so important for Christians, is because that is a moment we will take where we say we're remembering, we're reflecting, we're remembering what Jesus did, and we're reflecting on what we've been doing in our own lives. So reflection, remembrance, it is so important. And I want to read. See, as I said about the Bible, it's all over that, and it's absolutely fine. It does not deny, it does not run away from pain. The Psalms are full of it. There's words in Ecclesiastes about a time for everything. You'll probably know the Birds song. And there is, Jesus talks about mourning. He says, blessed are those who mourn. They will be comforted. Because that is natural, and this today is a natural thing. And actually another book in this Old Testament, a whole book called Lamentations. So in other words, a book of lament, a book of doing exactly what we're called to do today. And I want to read from it this morning. I'm going to use the Message version, and of course the other thing I'm going to do is wear my glasses. I'm leaning a bit further forward today, just because I've been talking to a few people and said I'm a bit quiet. So I'm responding to, my viewers. Okay, so, right, reading this. This is the Message version. It's from Lamentations 3. And it says, I'll never forget the trouble, the utter lostness, the taste of ashes, the poison I've swallowed. I remember it all. Oh, how well I remember. The feeling of hitting the bottom. But there's one other thing I remember. And remembering, I keep a grip on hope. God's love couldn't have run out. His merciful love couldn't have dried up. They're created new every morning. How great is your faithfulness. I'm sticking with God. I say it over and over. He's all I've got left. See, as I say in that verse, it starts with that reality, and a reality that so many have faced in the last year. I remember the poison. I remember the lostness. I never forget the trouble. And that's okay. Just for a moment here, I just think it's important. I'm going to take a moment. This is a bit weird to do online. But I'd like to take a moment of silence and just remember there has been a lot lost in the last year, and it's been hard for so many. And there is another side to this I'll talk about in a moment, but it's important we don't run away from something. We don't dismiss it or dismiss our feelings within that. So let's just take a moment and remember and reflect on this day. Anyone tuning into that would have been a bit confused about what was going on. But I think it's important. It's important to take those moments to stop and reflect and see what's gone in the past. But you know what else that verse says? It says, there's one other thing I remember. I keep a grip on hope. I was watching a film the other night. I didn't get the quote exactly, but it said something like, lost hope isn't about being in darkness. It's about feeling that the light will never come on again. That lost hope is like feeling like there will never be a dawn in a night. Feeling hopeless is like feeling that the sun will never shine again, the light will never come on. And I understand, even myself, I've been probably a couple of moments in life where I've probably suffered a little bit depression. I remember one of the thoughts that I thought was, have I ever been happy? Will I ever be happy? And that is a cloud that can come in. That's a sign of mental sickness in a way, is this feeling of complete, utter hopelessness and loss. That the sun won't shine again, that won't be happy. I've been happy. Been plenty of times in my life I've been happy, and I'm quite happy now, thank you. I couldn't see it at the time, and we get lost when we can't see where the hope is coming from. I mentioned about the communion, about the bread and the wine that as a Christian I partake in. And I remember what Jesus done for me on the cross. He died on the cross. He took that brokenness of mine, he took it on his shoulders, and he made that way for me to have that relationship with God. It's exciting, but actually as a Christian, this is the big thing. I remember when I take the bread and the wine, I remember what Jesus did. But within me there's this hope Because yes, Jesus died on that cross, but you know, we look forward to Easter. Why? Because on the third day, on the third day, Jesus rose again. You know, there was a group of disciples on Easter Saturday, the first Easter Saturday, who probably thought there was no hope ever again. But on Easter Sunday, they saw hope. My faith is built on a reality, an actual experience of who I have a relationship with. And he's the God of on the third day. He's the God that he is risen. He's the God that says he is hope. So I am able to reflect comfortably. I am able to acknowledge and see what has gone and mourn and grieve and sit in that. And yet I am hopeful. If you're a follower of Jesus, is about being a hopeful people, because we know what happens. We know the finale. Jesus wins. So if you want hope today, hope in Jesus. Where we are now is not where we will be. Who I am now, who you are now, is not who you will be. We will move forward. We will come out of this. Things will be different. And that can be good. And we can be so hopeful in that. So, today, take time, reflect. Reflect, remember, grieve and mourn. So important. And then, as well, let's look to tomorrow. Because there's something else we remember. That there is hope and joy that comes in the morning. God bless today.